The papers were already signed, my name's on the dotted line. Their names as co-signers. Admission to Riverside Care Facility scheduled for Monday morning. My two oldest children sat across from me in my living room. The living room where I'd raised them, where we'd celebrated every Christmas, every birthday. Patricia, my oldest daughter, 58, and Thomas, my second child, 55. They looked relieved, like they'd just solved a difficult problem. I looked at the calendar. Monday was 3 days away. 3 days until I'd leave the home I'd lived in for 42 years. My name is Robert Chen. I'm 85 years old. I live in San Francisco. I have 3 children, Patricia, Thomas, and Daniel. Daniel is my youngest, 50 years old, lives in Singapore, works for an international bank. I haven't seen him in 2 years, not since his last visit home, not since before everything changed. I built a software company in the 1970s, sold it in 2003 for $48 million. After taxes and investments, I had roughly $32 million. More money than I'd ever need. More money than 3 lifetimes could spend. I wasn't flashy, didn't buy yachts or mansions, lived in the same house I'd bought in 1982%, drove a 10-year-old Toyota. But I was generous with my children. I paid for everything. Always had. Patricia's wedding cost $200,000. I paid every cent. Thomas's business ventures, 5 different failed startups over 20 years. I funded all of them, close to $3 million total. Daniel's education at Berkeley and then Harvard Business School, fully paid. When Patricia got divorced, I bought her a house, $600,000. Cash. When Thomas's 3rd startup collapsed, I covered his debts, $400,000. When Daniel wanted to take the job in Singapore, I gave him $50,000 to help with the move. I gave and gave because that's what fathers do. That's what family means, or so I thought. My wife Susan died 8 years ago. Cancer, long, painful, devastating. She was the center of our family, the one who kept everyone connected. After she died, things changed. Patricia and Thomas visited less, called less, but Daniel flew home every few months, spent weeks with me, made sure I wasn't alone. 6 months ago, I had a small stroke. Minor. The doctor said I recovered well. Some weakness in my left hand, some trouble with balance, but my mind was sharp. I could still manage my life. Cook, clean, pay bills, drive during the day. I hired help, a housekeeper 3 times a week, a driver for longer trips. I was fine, but Patricia and Thomas decided I wasn't. They started calling more often, visiting more frequently, asking questions about my health, my medications, my daily routine. At first, I was touched, thought they were finally stepping up, being present. Then the suggestions started. Dad, maybe you should have live-in help. Dad, maybe you should move somewhere smaller. Dad, maybe you should consider assisted living, just temporarily. Just until you're stronger. I said no, repeatedly. I was 85, not helpless. I liked my home, my independence, my routines, but they didn't stop. 3 months ago, Thomas suggested I give him power of attorney. Just in case, he said, in case something happens, I'll make sure everything is managed properly. I told him I'd think about it. I never agreed. But last month, Patricia brought papers, said my lawyer had prepared them, said it was standard, said I just needed to sign. I read them carefully. Full power of attorney, financial and medical. To Patricia and Thomas jointly, control over all my accounts, all my assets, all my decisions. I told them no, absolutely not. They seemed surprised. Hurt said they were just trying to help, said they were worried about me, said I was being stubborn, difficult, unreasonable. 2 weeks ago, they came back, together, with different papers, not power of attorney, admission papers for Riverside Care Facility, a nursing home 20 minutes away. They'd already toured it, already spoken to the director, already arranged everything. They just needed my signature. I asked why. Why did they think I needed a nursing home? Patricia said my health was declining, that I couldn't manage alone, that the stroke was a warning, that next time could be worse. Thomas said the house was too big, too dangerous, too much for me to handle, that I needed 24-hour care, medical supervision, safety. I said I had help. I was managing fine. They said I wasn't thinking clearly, that the stroke had affected my judgment, that they were acting in my best interest. I realized then what was happening. This wasn't about my health. This wasn't about safety. This was about money, about control, about accessing my accounts, my investments, my $32 million. If I was in a nursing home, they'd manage everything, pay my bills, control my assets, and I'd never know what they were doing with it. I refused to sign. They kept pushing, said I was being selfish, said I was making their lives difficult, said I was forcing them to take legal action. Legal action. They threatened to have me declared incompetent, to take me to court, to prove I couldn't manage my own affairs. I was exhausted, 85 years old, recovering from a stroke, fighting my own children. I didn't have the strength, didn't have the emotional energy, so I signed, not because I agreed, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't fight anymore. Because sometimes giving up is easier than resisting. Monday morning came fast, too fast. Patricia and Thomas arrived at 8 a.m., helped me pack one suitcase, personal items only. Everything else would stay in the house. They'd manage it, they said, decide what to keep, what to sell, what to donate. They drove me to Riverside, checked me in, walked me to my room, small, clean, sterile, a bed, a chair, a window overlooking the parking lot. This was my new home. They stayed 30 minutes, made sure I was settled, told me I'd be happy here, told me it was for the best. Then they left, went back to my house to start sorting through my life. I sat on the bed, looked around the room, thought about how I got here, thought about Daniel, my youngest son, the one who lived 6,000 miles away, the one who didn't know what his siblings had done. Daniel was adopted. We took him in when he was 8 years old. His parents had died in a car accident. He had no other family. Susan and I had always wanted a third child. When we met Daniel at the foster agency, we knew immediately he was ours. Patricia was 18 when we adopted Daniel. Thomas was 15. They weren't thrilled, didn't want a new brother, especially one who wasn't really family. They tolerated him, but never truly accepted him. Daniel grew up in their shadow, always trying to prove himself, always working harder, studying harder, being better. He graduated graduated top of his class, got into Berkeley, then Harvard, built a successful career, but Patricia and Thomas never gave him credit. Always saw him as the adopted kid, the outsider, the one who didn't really belong. I called Daniel 3 days after I moved into Riverside. He answered immediately. "Dad, how are you? I've been meaning to call. Work's been crazy. How's everything?" I told him. Everything. The stroke, Patricia and Thomas pressuring me. The nursing home, the papers I signed, the house they were now controlling, the money they were now managing. Daniel was silent for a long time. Then he said, in a voice I'd never heard before, "Dad, I'm coming home." "You don't need to," I said. "It's done. I'm here. I'll be fine." "No," Daniel said, "you won't, and I'm coming home." He hung up. 12 hours later, he called back. "I'm on a flight. I land in San Francisco tomorrow at 6 p.m. Don't tell Patricia or Thomas. I didn't." The next day, Daniel arrived at Riverside at 7:30 p.m. He walked into my room. I hadn't seen him in 2 years. He looked older, grayer, but his eyes were the same, fierce, protective, angry. He hugged me, sat down, asked me to explain everything again. Every detail, every conversation, every paper I signed. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "Dad, did you want to come here? Did you want to leave your home?" I shook my head. "No." "Then you're leaving. Tomorrow, you're coming with me." "But Daniel, they have power of attorney. They control everything." "No," he said, "they don't." He pulled out papers, legal documents. He'd spent the flight working with an attorney in Singapore, had contacted a lawyer in San Francisco, had everything prepared. "Dad, you signed under duress. You were coerced, threatened. That makes those documents invalid. We're going to revoke them. Transfer your power of attorney to me. Get you out of here. And then we're going to have a conversation with Patricia and Thomas." The next morning, Daniel's lawyer arrived at Riverside, brought documents for me to sign. Revocation of power of attorney. New power of attorney designating Daniel as my representative. Medical release authorizing my discharge. I signed everything. Within 2 hours, I was discharged. Daniel packed my suitcase, walked me to his rental car, drove me back to my house. Patricia and Thomas were there, going through my things, sorting papers, making lists. They looked up when we walked in. Shocked. "Dad," Patricia said, "what are you doing here?" Daniel said, "He's coming home." Patricia's face hardened. "Daniel, we didn't know you were in town. You should have called. You should have told us you were putting Dad in a home," Daniel said. His voice was ice. Thomas stood up. "This isn't your business. You don't live here. You don't know what's been happening." "I know exactly what's been happening," Daniel said. "You convinced an 85-year-old stroke victim to sign papers giving you control of his money. You threatened him with legal action if he didn't cooperate. You put him in a nursing home so you could access his accounts without interference. That's not helping. That's elder abuse." Patricia's face went red. "We were protecting him. Protecting him." Daniel pulled out papers. "I have Dad's medical records. His doctor says he's competent, capable of independent living with minimal support. You lied to him, told him he was declining, told him he needed institutional care. You manipulated him." Thomas stepped forward. "You have no right to come in here and accuse us of anything." You're not even really family. There it was. The truth they'd always believed. Daniel wasn't really family. Wasn't really their brother. Didn't really belong. Daniel didn't flinch. You're right, I'm not blood, but I'm the only one who actually cares about Dad. You two only care about his money, and you're not getting it. He handed them documents. Revocation of power of attorney, effective immediately. Patricia grabbed the papers, read them. Her hands were shaking. You can't do this. Yes, I can. Dad signed them this morning, with his attorney present. Completely legal. You have no authority over his finances, no access to his accounts, nothing. Thomas's face went white, but the house, the bills, the arrangements, all yours to worry about now, Daniel said, because Dad's not staying here. He's coming with me to Singapore, where he'll be safe, where he'll be cared for, where he'll be away from people who see him as a bank account. You can't take him to Singapore, Patricia said. He's 85. He needs medical care. He needs stability. He needs family, real family. He'll have family, Daniel said quietly. Me, the son who actually loves him, not the children who tried to warehouse him to steal his money. I stood there watching my children fight, my two biological children and my adopted son, the son who'd flown 6,000 miles overnight, who'd hired lawyers, who'd fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. Patricia started crying, not sad crying, angry crying. We did everything for you, Dad, everything. We sacrificed for this family. And you're choosing him, the adopted kid, over your own flesh and blood. I found my voice. You didn't sacrifice anything. I paid for everything. Your education, your weddings, your failed businesses, your houses, your debts. I gave you everything you ever asked for. And the moment I needed help, real help, you saw an opportunity. You saw money. You didn't see your father. But Daniel saw me. He always has. From the day we brought him home, he's been more of a son than either of you have been in 20 years. So yes, I'm choosing him. Not because he's adopted, because he's the only one who actually cares whether I live or die. The room was silent. Then Thomas said, "Fine, leave, but don't come back. Don't call us. Don't expect anything from us. And when you die, don't expect us at the funeral." "I won't," I said, "because you won't be invited." Daniel helped me pack. Real packing this time. Clothes, photos, Susan's jewelry, books I loved, everything that mattered. Patricia and Thomas stood in the hallway, watching, not helping, not speaking, just watching us erase 42 years from their lives. We left that afternoon. Daniel had arranged everything. Temporary apartment in Singapore, near his place. Medical care lined up. Everything I'd need. The flight was long, 16 hours, but Daniel sat with me the entire time, talked to me, made sure I was comfortable, made sure I ate, made sure I knew I was safe. When we landed in Singapore, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Relief, freedom, peace. Daniel's apartment was beautiful, modern, bright, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He'd set up the guest room for me. Comfortable bed, photos of Susan, books, everything to make me feel home. The first week was hard. Jet lag, adjustment, missing my house, my routines. But Daniel was patient, took time off work, showed me the neighborhood, introduced me to his friends. His life made sure I knew I was wanted, not a burden, not an obligation. Wanted. After 2 weeks, we settled into a routine. Daniel worked during the day. I'd read, walk in the nearby park, explore the neighborhood. We'd have dinner together every night. Talk, really talk, like we hadn't talked in years. One night, over dinner, Daniel said, "Dad, I need to tell you something. I almost didn't come get you. Almost decided to stay out of it. Let Patricia and Thomas handle it. Because part of me has always wondered if you regretted adopting me. If you wished I was really yours." I looked at him. This man who'd flown 6,000 miles overnight, who'd fought my battles, who'd given up his peaceful life to take care of his 85-year-old father. "Daniel," I said, "you are really mine, more mine than they ever were. Blood doesn't make family. Choice makes family. Patricia and Thomas are my children by birth, but you're my son by choice. Every single day I choose you. You're the best decision Susan and I ever made." Daniel cried, actually cried. I hadn't seen him cry since he was 8 years old, the day we brought him home from the foster agency. That was 8 months ago. I'm 86 now, still living in Singapore, still living with Daniel. My health is stable, better. Actually, the doctors here are excellent. I take walks every morning, have made friends in the neighborhood, attend a book club at the local library. I'm happy, truly happy, for the first time in years. Patricia and Thomas have never called, never written, never reached out. According to my lawyer in San Francisco, they sold my house, kept the proceeds, claimed it was compensation for years of taking care of me. I let them have it, the house, the furniture, whatever they could grab, because I have something more valuable. I have Daniel. I have peace. I have a life. Last month, I updated my will. Everything goes to Daniel, all 32 million. Patricia and Thomas are explicitly excluded. The will states clearly, I leave nothing to my biological children who saw me as a financial resource rather than a father. My estate goes entirely to my son Daniel, who showed me what family truly means. My lawyer asked if I was sure, if I wanted to reconsider, leave something to Patricia and Thomas. I said no. They made their choice. Now I'm making mine. Daniel doesn't know about the will. I'll tell him eventually, but not yet. For now, I just want to enjoy our time together, our dinners, our conversations, our life. My children put me in a nursing home at 85. They wanted my money, my control, my assets. They saw an opportunity, an easy solution, an elderly father who couldn't fight back. But they forgot about Daniel, the adopted son, the one they never accepted, the one they never considered family. He flew 6,000 miles overnight, fought lawyers, faced his siblings, and brought me home. Not to the house I'd lived in for 42 years, but to a home I'd never known. A home built on choice, on love, on actual family. My biological children wanted my money more than they wanted me. My adopted son wanted me. Just me. Nothing else. And now, at 86, living 6,000 miles from where I was born, I'm finally home, finally with family, finally at peace. Patricia and Thomas got the house, the furniture, whatever whatever they could take. Daniel got something they'll never understand. He got his father, and I got my son, the real one.